Let me live out my dream. Let me live out as what I intended to be. If you got me, then I can probably see.
Check. Y'all tuned in to another episode of the LABL podcast. I'm your host, Nametag Alexander. All things Leading Be Legendary can be found at the website, leadingbylegendary.net. Listen, most of our listeners are listening on the Apple Podcast app. So if you're listening on that app, I need you to make sure you leave a writing. Listen to me. Leave a rating or a review. Either or is fine. And also make sure that you share it with your people that's also listening to other podcasts. Just, because those ratings and those reviews actually help. It get us more so like, I guess I would say, not a higher ranking per se, but more visible in the app to where people can see like, oh, okay, this is another music podcast to check out. And that helps when you guys leave a rating and a review. I was about to say writing again, damn it. Recurring guest, art dealer Dean, aka what we call you, Swami Kilpatrick. Yo, if you listen, by the time y'all hear this episode, y'all might have to go to his Instagram page, swipe back a few pics, check. Yo, you look like a vintage gang leader. Like you legit look like you would have been one of the black dudes in a West Side Story, like, but you led the gang though. Like this nigga had the cigarette lit. Like you literally like, what did I say? Like I said, you was about to send somebody to the store to go get you a pack of smokes.
Duh, he said I was a number runner, like I was Prohibition era, like I'd be reading palms.
Yo, that shit. But explain that though.
Swami
Talk about
Kilpatrick.
what's Swami, man. Like, cause I probably remember you explaining it to me, but I don't really recall too much.
Oh, Swami ain't shit. I mean, so let me not say that. Like,
Swami ain't shit.
let me not say that, right? But like things like Swami and Sensei and Senpai, shit like that, is just somebody who got wisdom, so to speak.
Well, that's kind of ill.
Swami.
Yeah. So why not just say Sensei?
Well, because that's a term that people kind of get, defensive over if it's like, towards their culture.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, like people use it the same way as like as Swami or whatever, but I think just because I'm joking just a little bit that. I'm more comfortable with Swami than
Adds
Sensei.
more to the personality. That's what Swami Kilpatrick. It wouldn't have made sense. You can't say Sensei Kilpatrick. Swami Kilpatrick. So you doing this on purpose too. I think you trolling because ever since we did the Neo Soul Pastor, you like, all right, what else can I hit him with? And then he comes with Swami Dean, and then I added like, no, Swami Kilpatrick. So now it's Art Dealer Dean. Also, well, we call it was going by the government at first, Dean Garcia, but then that went to Art Dealer Dean, and then here we are now with the Neo Soul Pastor, which is gonna stick forever. We're gonna run that into the ground, and then now Swami Kilpatrick.
Yeah, crazy man. But I had started rocking the turban maybe about a month ago, so this was definitely before the episode had aired.
Yeah.
But like right after we had taped probably. And so, I wear my septum too. I got my septum pierced.
Yeah.
And so all of this is stuff where I was just like, I wanted to try it. And I was never the type of person to let myself, try shit. So
that shit definitely adding character though, dog. I think what made it like over the top. I said this nigga done lit the cigarette with it though. I didn't even peep the cigarette at first. I said, is he smoking a cigarette? Like I mean, we know you smoke, but it just was hilarious. Like seeing that with that, like, dog, this is funny, man. I gotta say some shit about this, dog. This is hilarious.
That shit was funny. I'm not even gonna lie. I had, I be like, I use Instagram to like practice creative direction.
Yeah.
And so I'm always kind of like trying to set up a shot. Period, whether it's me or somebody else or some shit on the street.
In a way, though, that's what it's for, though. That's a smart way to use the gram, though. A lot of people kind of, I think, overthink using the Instagram sometimes. Like, if you gonna lean into it, like, go all the way in, like, whichever. I was listening to a podcast, too, explaining just, like, don't overdo social media. Like, don't be on too many different social media platforms trying to just go in for the overkill. Like, maybe just pick 2 or 3 that you really be on and just go in on those, you know what I'm saying? Instead of, I gotta hit Facebook, I gotta hit Instagram Twitter, which is fine. But then they'll be, oh yeah, let me go ahead and go on Pinterest too, and then let me hit here. Oh damn, I got to
Yeah,
post
like,
over here too. You
and
just
so
drive
like
yourself nuts.
all of that shit, don't really have nothing to do with building a business. At the end of the day,
Nah,
like you could build a business without it, and so I just kind of be looking at social media as a way to have fun, man. And so, like for instance, right?
we getting older, man. That shit ain't really. It was like to overthink it at a point. I think it was maybe when we was younger, but now it's just like, man, fuck it, man. It is what it is.
I mean, not even that, right? So like, so me and you talk a lot about just about being focused and trying to make everything around us about what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
And so, I wake up about 5, 6 in the morning to get my day started. Just be bullshitting or pedaling around before I really get to going. And like today, I was like, shit, let me see what the news is hitting on. And so I rolled a blunt, watched the news, and they were talking about like bodegas and how the bodegas, which is ran by, majority the Muslim community,
Right.
they they basically tired of the New York Post talking shit about them, right?
Uh.
About Muslim Americans and them being possibly terrorists and shit. It's like, bet it's 500 of us. We get about 9 papers from the New York Post every day. We about to boycott that shit and hit them in their pocket for like $4,500 a month. And I was like, yeah, lit. And so I downloaded Twitter a while ago again because you be on my head about that shit basically. But I started a thread that was just kind of like, it ended up turning into an essay idea for this workshop I got coming up.
Yeah,
But it was just like,
your Twitter should be
that's what I use
super
social media
random
for
too.
now.
Like it should be super random. I was just going there like, what is this nigga talking about?
Man, it's a notepad, and so like it's almost like workshopping in front of people.
Smart way to use it.
Yeah, and so like I kind of do stuff where it's like I want to see how people gonna respond to certain shit, but it's also for me to go back to and use as a reference for, if I want to turn it into a long form piece or if I want to pitch it to, an outlet and get it published. And so those are the ways I try to use social media. It's just kind of an extension of how I already live, but not really
Yeah, I was
trying
about to say this is
not
like
trying to
this
stunt on
because
that
what you
shit.
was posting, it was like the shit that you was talking about. This is some shit he would normally be talking about anyway. It's just like it's
It's some
online for
shit.
more people to see. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
That shit was
Man,
crazy, man. It got me to thinking, like, like we in Michigan, and so we ain't got no bodegas, but like we have
my
shit that people care about, like
yeah,
spending power. And so, like, our whole shit is we got gas stations, liquor stores, and churches.
right.
And I was thinking, like, all of them niggas carry Nestle water, and Nestle is like in the middle of the Flint shit, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like I can't
A
eat a
lot of
Crunch
people drink
bar.
that shit though, man.
A lot of people eat. A lot of people drink that shit. They fuck with Ice Mountain. They out here eating Nestle Crunch bars and Butterfingers and all that kind of shit, right?
Now, what water do you suggest
Coffee
though?
creamer.
If it's not, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, just anybody that's not Nestle or anybody that's doesn't like
A
use
lot of
their
that water, from
facilities
what
to
I
bottle their
show,
water.
a lot of that water that they be talking about, they'll be like for like Aquafina, they say is bad. The Sunny is bad. Like all that shit is like, ugh. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
a lot of it come down to the packaging, right? So
Right.
they try to say that it's recycled plastic and stuff, but plastic in and of itself is just toxic because it doesn't occur in nature.
So what's the shit now that they got? Like, what's the joint that Jaden Smith was promoting? Like drinking water out of a
The
box?
box water.
Like, is that
Now,
better?
believe it or not, box water do taste better. I don't know if it's. I mean, and I do believe that it's more environmentally healthy because water is something that already naturally occurs in wood.
Well, technically, isn't that like? I'm trying to think. Like, what? Or am I thinking about? I want to say carton. Oh no, no,
Yeah,
no! I'm saying, I was about to say, like, drink how you got the carton of juice, you got the like, there's the carton of milk, but then you also got the gallon that's in the. So yeah, it's basically like that. It's just drinking how the carton of juice would be, or a carton of milk. It's just water is in the shit.
yeah, exactly. But remember back in the day when, remember back in elementary school when you had like the carton of juice, or like in high
Yeah,
school when you had a carton of juice, but then you was like, man,
the
if you bought
brown
a
milk.
clear fruit.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like, we value being able to have some for later, but that creates an environmental problem.
I
You know
never
what I
thought
mean?
about that shit like that because now, yeah, man, niggas used to. I was the nigga that never drank the milk. Like everybody, hey, you want your milk, man? Have that shit. Like, why are you drinking that?
I
Nasty.
don't want no
Like,
goddamn 1%. Like it's
shout out to
basically water
Tone.
with some
Shout
milk
out
in
to
it.
Tone. You know who Tone is. Shout out to Tone, man. He used to be the main. Like, let me get your milk. Like, man, hey, or have it. Strong ass nigga. Like, take the. Shout out to
Hell
Tone
nah.
though. I was the juice. Let me get a juice. Yeah, man, that shit is wild, man. Shout out to Jay-Z, man. Like, cause you kind of predicted it on the last episode you were on. Last episode, I said episode. Last episode you were on, we were talking about the whole thing with Tidal potentially being sold, but like then all of a sudden news pop up that he's the first rap billionaire. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. And so I don't think I predicted it because Jay-Z just been predicting it for like the last 10 years
For like
himself.
only his whole career. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
He's like, no, nigga, I'm gonna make $1 billion. That's and so I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen with title and shit. It's fun to talk about that kind of shit because it's like speculating stocks or like
Right.
sports. I mean, I guess that's what like people who watch sports experience. I wouldn't know, but
You could though. You could.
I mean, I'm
He
not gonna
like,
say
no, I'm
anything.
straight,
I'm
man.
sure.
I'm straight.
Yeah. But yeah, like that shit is dope, man. They got a whole $1 billion, and so if he'd, I think what it's really a signal of, right? Because I think about this shit all the time. I think about old money versus new money,
Yeah.
and so like in hip hop terms, Jay-Z is like old money now.
Yeah, he is actually.
You know what I mean? And so I think people like him who've been around as long as him and maybe longer are turning into the old money that and like hip hop is gonna be commercially viable, like a GE
Yep.
or a GM or that kind of thing. And so you'll start to see hip hop being a foundational thing, like it has been, but also spinning off into other industries.
Well,
Like
remember me and Black Beethoven talked about that on one of the earlier episodes where my man's Jesse Atkinson has said he was working on something to try to have like an independent music artist stock exchange or something, like, or just for hip hop in general. Like we was trying to predict like what would that be like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I mean, I don't know about all of that, and then that raises another point that was like hot on Twitter, right? Like, is that like it's cool for Jay-Z to be a billionaire, but at the same time, we also shouldn't have billionaires, and so I agree with that to an extent. Like,
we shouldn't have billionaires.
Yeah, we shouldn't have billionaires. It's just like, what do you need with all of that, right? And so it gets to the point where, and so like this is the problem that Americans have with wealth, right? Or that people in general have with wealth. You feel like you're supposed to hoard it, and that the more that you have of it, the better of a person you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it says that you're more disciplined or that you're smarter or that you're more creative. And so we literally put a dollar amount on our existence. And so it's not wrong to have $1 billion because shouldn't nobody have $1 billion. But a lot of what goes into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say clear that up because I really was sitting here looking like, what the fuck? Like this nigga don't want nigga. You want $1 billion, my nigga? Like,
I mean, maybe
remember not to share that shit with you, nigga. If I ever get $1 billion, like this nigga ain't want it.
Maybe I want $1 billion, but see, and that also goes back to what you. And so a lot of the problem that we have is that we assign the wrong type of value to a lot of different shit because we try to force ourselves to be like something else, right? And so we'll be mad at Wall Street and lobbyists and shit like that and people who are using their money to impede progress, like especially for minorities, right? But then we'll be cool with Jay-Z being a billionaire, and it's okay because that's kind of like a tick in our favor, but like whether you think it's a win or not really depends on how you feel about classism versus racism.
Well, that goes to a point. It's funny because what was that Lil Duval? He posted that shit on Instagram. It was from Twitter, but he put it on his Instagram, and he was like, "How we just kind of pick and choose certain shit that we praise." He was like, "So wait a minute, y'all praising Drake for having his own jet, but y'all shitting on whoever the pastor was who wanted his own jet, but he can't have one. And then I think you brought up the point. You said, "Well, Drake ain't buy it with no ties or something," like you said, or the sword or whatever. I think somebody said it in the
Yeah, and
comments
so
too.
yeah, people always being lazy with like their associations, right? And so like Lil Duval is like funny as shit.
Man,
First of all, don't
hilarious.
get me wrong, right? But at the same time, like that nigga just be saying shit to
You
start
know he
shit
was high. He
sometimes
do that,
because
and he was high. He'll say like, "Am I just high?" Like he'll say that shit. So it's
that
like,
nigga like a barber.
yeah, but that's real though. Like he admit, like, man, I'm high, but I could just be high or whatever. But what y'all think about this? Right? Ain't it crazy if it's exactly like that? A barber. Yep.
Yeah, and so like I feel that because that's where you learn how to argue real shit
Yeah.
or have like have heated debates and shit. And so my whole thing with like a pastor wanting a jet is that I do believe that that they can have access to stuff like that, but part of challenging faith is believing that the resources will come from God and not necessarily relying on the people around
Yeah.
you. And so it always sent a funny message to me because like Jesus was splitting bread and fish up
He was.
between hundreds of people, you know what I mean, in like super nominal amounts. It was two fish and five loaves, right? And so if Jesus could feed the masses off of that, just off of like blessing it and
Whoa,
like
people, he
considering it
getting in his
blessed, right?
neo soul pastor bag. So, you
Right?
see the
I ain't even
transition?
mean to.
That nigga went to
But
the nigga went from Swami to like neo soul pastor. No, I get it now. I understand. I understand.
but you feel but you feel me
No,
though?
you're
Like
right.
if Jesus can do that, then why can't like for $1 and TD Jakes find other means to have a jet? And so like this kind of goes back to the conversation that we was having earlier about proficiency, right?
Right.
And I know that like later on in the show we're gonna talk about some things we would have said to our older selves or our younger
Yeah.
selves, but just like proficiency is some shit where you have to be diligent and attentive, and so that go for like your work life obviously, but your spiritual shit too.
Right. That and then I'm thinking about it like $1 billion would be dope, but what the hell would I do with it? I
$1
mean,
billion would be double. What the hell would you do with it? How much money do it cost to make $1 billion, right? And so that's
yeah.
some of the inspirational stuff that I took away from it. In order to be a billionaire, you have to be dissatisfied with so many things that a lot of people would feel challenged by because they would feel ungrateful.
Man, I get shit. Give me, I know how I am with just having $2,000. Like, nigga, I'm trying to be so low key. Nigga, like, I'm trying to imagine, like, how you low key with
Listen,
$1 billion? Like, how do you
wasn't
even?
wasn't Jay charging like 500K for like a verse at one point? Did it ever get that
Yeah.
high?
I want to say, well, what's the joint from Encore? Uh,
Uh, Shit.
two.
I be thinking about what more can I say, but he said he was in the mag for half a billy,
Is that,
500
but then on
million.
Encore, now you got me thinking, because Encore, he says, nah,
You
something when I
wanted to
come
gain
back.
attention, new dude.
Yeah, I
It's
can get you
2.4
BET.
and I'm
You
only
want to spend
doing
the
two.
budget? Send your budget. Well, fuck it, I ain't budging. Damn, what's the bar he say? That's 2.4, and I'm only doing two. Is that on Encore?
Yeah, that's yep.
Yeah, we break down the verse, and he said that's like 2.4. He say 1 point something, but then he says 2.4, and I'm only doing one. I think it's like
Uh-huh.
1.2 mil. Yeah, it's like 1.2 mil a verse. Or it was. So you
Uh-huh.
said like 500K. He said like 1.2 mil a
Oh
verse at
yeah.
that time.
So yeah, right. So like imagine like dog, if
We
I was
really tried
getting
to
a
figure
million
that shit out.
dollars,
Like, damn, what did he say?
if I was getting like that, because that's not even the point, right? But if I was getting $1 million for one unit of anything, right? So
Yeah.
let's say a J versus one unit. If I get $1 million per unit, I could see myself getting really comfortable, being like, "Yo, this is dope." But like, how? Like, he must have did the math. He was like, "How many of these do I have to sell to turn this into something else and make it $1 billion?"
Nigga, and
Or like, how
exactly,
many?
cause like who in the game had 1.2 mil just to throw Jay for a verse? Like, yo, nigga, hey, I need a verse, fam. I got it right here. Matter of fact, let me get two,
Well,
nigga.
so but that's we talking about like like the height of the music industry, right? When
Yeah.
producers like Timberland was charging like $1 million, $2
Oh
million
yeah,
for
yeah,
a
yeah.
track,
You're right.
right?
You're right.
And so Jay was like, shit, nigga, I'm
Man, you want to charge that much
Timberland,
for
my
a,
nigga.
a beat, nigga? I'm charging this much for a verse.
Exactly. And so I think that Jay is such a dope case study in going from the old model to the new model and like having like a highly evolved level of adaptation.
Yo, man, that shit is crazy, man. I'm just thinking about that. Like, what, nigga, $1 billion? Like, niggas get tax money and try to. Well, it's niggas that get tax money and they blow it, they flashing there. But then some niggas like, nigga, I get that tax shit. I'm falling back, nigga. I'm not. Nope, you don't know where I'm at. I'm chilling. Yeah,
Man,
I ain't doing nothing.
I ain't got a tax check in so long, and so I think that, and like, so if you notice, like the shit that Jay been talking about like the last couple of years, right, is about how a boss is somebody who front the bill, who front the expense in order to make money down the line, and so it's really interesting to like, you know, to go from a culture of like we want all pros to being like we want to invest and have equity and shit like that.
Yeah, that is like, I don't want to say it's like the thing now because that's a great thing, you know what I'm saying? But it's like that's the thing, you know,
I
like
like I like when smart shit be trendy, man. Everybody's
yeah,
trying to make
it's
money
like
and
that's
like be
cool.
fly and like
Yo, did that shit like did he really, man, he's been doing this like for a long time. Like when did Jay start just like being able to say what go and that be a thing? Like, cause remember 444 came out and we thought a lot of people praised it. We thought it was dope. But then you had people like, man, I'm cool on it, man. It's all right, you know what I'm saying? But then look what happened. Like after, it's just like that's the thing. Like everybody, like, oh, I'm invested, I'm flipping. Niggas been doing that. It's been happening, but is that when that happened? Like when
I
444
don't think I
dropped,
mean
it was
I don't even necessarily think that people been like doing it any more or less like since 444, but I think that
I
that
mean,
it
like
just
when
being
it's
part of the pop
really,
culture
really yeah,
conversation is cool.
exactly. Like with it
You know
being
what
like
I
a
mean?
pop culture thing, like niggas out here, everybody talking about they want to invest. Cause okay, it started happening when Nipsey was saying it and talking about it like in Victory Lap, and everybody was following that because clearly Nipsey was doing. Cause the
I mean, nigga,
444
it's been
drop,
going on longer than that. Like we ain't got to be
it
trying to
have
give
been,
we ain't got to give
but
no one person credit for it.
yeah,
But
yeah. But you get what I'm saying? Like it really being a pop culture thing. Like it was literally 444 drop, and that just started being like it just kind of
I
might have caught
mean,
us off guard
Jay was talking about all the shit that he was talking about on
since
444.
forever.
No, but like also on Magna Carta.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
the only difference is that niggas was open to it because he worked with a boom bap producer and he did
Yeah.
some super hip hop shit and locked in with one producer. And so I
Magna
think
Carta wasn't a
that
bad album, man.
no, Magna Carta wasn't
It
a bad
wasn't a bad album.
album, but the packaging for 444 was way better.
Yeah. Yep. I'm
You know
just
what I
thinking about
mean?
it now. Like I'm kind of all over the place with it, but my mind is just kind of thinking like that really wasn't a bad album. Like niggas gave it a lot of shit because not only okay, the deal was different. Like you know, he had a package with the Samsung hookup, and a lot of the songs had that, like, you know, you clap for a nigga when he's rapping, like, you know, those type of joints on there, but he still had some shit on there, man, at the end of the day.
One of the things that I take into consideration about Magna Carta is that it was created at the same time as the Beyonce self-titled
Mm-hmm.
album and the 2020 experiences
Yep.
by Justin Timberlake. And so what you get is The Dream, Future, James Fauntleroy, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, Timberland, and just like all of these really dope people at the height of their game. Oh, wait. And then because Magna Carta also came out the same time as Yeezus
Yep.
and fucking Born Center, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like a model of like the last 6
Yeah.
years of niggas just keeping shit tight across the board, across genre, all basically coming from out the same camp. But the way that Jay-Z just kind of fell in the middle of it at the time, it wasn't like congruent with everybody else's. And so they had the same creative energy as far as the recording process, but it didn't really translate well over to the marketing.
That intro was hard, man. That intro and well, even though he was kind of out of pocket a little bit on some joints, but I always say like Michael McDonald could have sung with Justin Timberlake sang on the hook. I don't know if people ever really like peeped that. I told you that before having that. Like I always hear Michael McDonald.
Yeah,
You can't hear that? Like
but
that shit
but
would
the
be
only
dope as
reason,
hell.
but the only reason that happened though is because they was just all in the same sessions anyway.
Yeah,
You know
probably
what I mean?
knocked
That
out
song could have been
Suit
completely
and
for somebody
Tie.
else's project.
Yep.
But yeah,
That damn, that
but
was around the same time.
you know
That's
what I'm
crazy.
saying? And so Jay-Z versus on part 1 and part 2 of the 2020 experience, right?
Yeah.
He's on Suit and Tie, and he's on the song called Murder on part 2.
I don't think I've heard that. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to check it out now, but I don't think I've heard it.
No,
That's
super
crazy,
dope,
man.
right?
I'm just remembering how like so many people was shitting on that album, and I'm like, it's not really a bad album. That's the internet for you though. Like all
It's not a
it
hip hop
is.
album. It was a super
No, not at
commercial,
all.
like but a hip hop artist made it. And so like it has a lot of cultural merit. I feel like this turned into the Jay-Z episode. Like this nigga for like
I
30
mean,
minutes.
is nigga's a
I'm
billionaire
like
now. I
I'm
mean,
like a
fuck it.
huge fan, but like.
But no, it came about because we was talking about like what the hell would you do with $1 billion? Like, or is it like
But
even do you need that much?
yeah, so like just like the characteristics associated with growth like that, right? Is that you don't really care about like humanity or society. He's kind of called to the same level of scrutiny.
Damn. So you feel like if in order to have that, it's like damn, you want niggas want to be millionaires, but like what come with it is like yo, it's gonna be a lot of shit that you can't fuck with, that you might want to
I
fuck
mean,
with, but
not
you can't.
well, just it depends on. I think one of the really cool things about Jay-Z is that he appears to do a really good job of navigating like authenticity and
Yeah,
integrity, but that's just not something that's characteristic of a billionaire.
yeah. By like
And so like it's
textbook. Yeah, I get what you're saying. That makes sense.
yeah, and so like I think what people are really saying is like, it's cool that he did it, but like I don't like people ain't convinced that this is Jay-Z breaking the mold for what a billionaire is.
Yeah.
Jay-Z becoming a billionaire, like because it's a very strategic way to do it.
Now, what was you saying in regards to the they was recording like the different sessions or all of the same sessions pretty much for like certain albums around that time though, like very prominent. I know you mentioned like the 2020
Yeah,
experience, Jesus, Magna Carta.
Born Center and the Beyonce self-titled, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so all of these niggas was running around together, like really like doped up off the same creative energy. And so like this was like how I found out that like Future was the truth as a writer, and this is how I found out about James Fauntleroy, right? And so one of the cool things about James Fauntleroy too, right, is that he's in a group with Janae Aiko and with No ID,
Oh shit! Wait a minute.
right? They was in a group called Cocaine 80s.
Oh, so wait, nah, no, okay, okay. I remember seeing a lot of that shit, but I never, honestly, I never heard none of the music, never.
Yeah, I mean, so they were really like on some wavy underground shit,
Okay,
which is just like super fucking luxurious, right? Because James Fauntleroy, he wrote No Air for Chris Brown and Jordan
okay,
Sparks and some shit for Carrie Hilson and just like on and on. He used to like think he used to be a part of Stargate. Not sure though. Don't quote me on that.
Stargate sound
But
familiar.
well, Stargate was they behind a lot of Rihanna shit and like
Okay,
the pop urban crossover type shit. That was their shit.
okay,
So this is setting the bed for the creative energy, right? And so, but you also have a few blunders on the branding side. You got the shit that happened with Samsung when Jay-Z dropped Magna Carta, where he's like openly cooking the books, but like the shit crashes. It doesn't work. And then you got Yeezus just kind of like
I'm gonna go back and revisit
super
that one
mixed
too.
reception. Right. I mean, I tried to listen to Yeezus. I tried it high. I tried it drunk. I tried it with people. I tried it alone. And it just went for me. And so then you got Jay-Z, who's gonna like buy Tidal in 2
Right.
years, but in the meantime, Beyonce just dropped a surprise album out of nowhere, right, on iTunes, and you can't get it nowhere else. So this is the whole shit. These niggas was turning up in 2012, 2013, because they was trying to save their marriage. They was just coming off of
Yeah.
Watch the Throne. Everything was changing, right? Good old 2013.
What's that?
And so, oh shit, you know what I just thought about too? You
Who
know
was
who was
that?
left out? You know who was left out of that creative moment almost?
Yeah. What album did he
Drake.
have out around that time?
And so like, but
Okay.
not even, but not well. He was working on Nothing Was the Same. Nothing Was the Same came out fourth quarter of 2013. But at the same time, he on the Beyonce album. He's on the
Yeah.
part 2 to the 2020 experience.
You're
And
right.
Jay-Z
So he
is
all
on
you. I
Pound
see
Cake.
what you're saying now when you say he almost got left out of it.
And Janae Aiko, and Janae Aiko, right? And Janae
What was
Aiko
the name
is
of that song?
on
Because I thought that was
Nothing
one
Was the
of
Same.
the that's one of my favorite joints
I can't
on
never
there.
remember
Just
the
like
name
the
of it.
vibe was kind of ill. Like, okay, I think that was my first time hearing her too. That's probably what it was. Like, who is that? She sound different. You know what I'm saying? And now we just got a bunch of, Janae Aiko's out there.
Right.
But
well, this is the thing, right? But that's also something that you can attribute to Jay-Z and Beyonce, right? Because their whole shit is that they mine independent culture because they like
on the
they like
lowest of
being hipsters
keys.
a little bit. Just putting that out there. On the lowest of keys, they whole shit is finding obscure shit that like nobody else would be into, just like anybody else would.
Damn, man,
Who's
you
like
making
really
some
into
good
music
ass
like
points.
that.
Cause like some of this shit I sit back and just kind of think, but it was like, nah. But then the way you kind of like making me think about it more, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, bro, listen. So we go from Janae Aiko and James Fauntleroy to writing everything on those 3 albums, right? On the 2020 Experience, on the Magna Carta, and on Beyonce Self-Titled, to a couple of years later, matter of fact, like 2016, motherfucking SZA writing.
Yeah, I was about to say, didn't she write some of Rihanna shit? How much of that shit did she write
Rihanna?
on?
Yeah, she wrote.
Well,
she
okay.
She wrote Consideration, but Rihanna and Beyonce basically set up they album production the same way. It's like you have a writing camp or a production camp, and you get all this fresh talent that you could kind of curate and mold, and you just kind of take it from there. And like outside of your regular collaborators, and so what you get is like a really mature urban sound that has just enough crossover.
It's all in the sense now that you really think about it. Like I say, a lot of people fronted on some of that material, especially Magna Carta. But damn, 2012, well, we'll say 2013, really. Yeah,
2013. But this is, and so the creative moment is really good. But this is like the real business acumen behind it, right? And this is the kind of shit that make you a billionaire. You harness the creative energy and you disperse it into like these controlled projects or these controlled environments, like Beyonce dropping exclusively with iTunes, like out of the blue, and Jay-Z and them just like spending that whole year really foregoing the traditional album rollout, right? Because Jay-Z announced his shit 2 weeks before Beyonce did that shit, like at midnight, in the middle of the night one night.
Niggas was clearing space out their phone.
There was kind of a rollout for Yeezus, but like it was. Oh wait, so remember the Yeezus rollout where he was
the new slaves and all that,
like the onto the side of the buildings and shit. Like he was really about doing like an open air installation, or even when J. Cole was doing like the lead up to Born Sinner was the Yours Truly.
Oh, I remember that. I know what you're talking about.
Or the Sincerely Yours, something like that. It was either Yours Truly or Sincerely Yours. It was a 3-part mixtape installation or EP installation before Born Sinner dropped.
Damn,
or it was 2 parts and then the third part
like,
dropped.
It feel like that shit just kind of breezed on
like
by, or maybe per se what I wasn't paying attention to that part in depth.
Look,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'd be obsessed with shit like that, right? But the whole shit is that these niggas was really running experiments across marketing segments on the best way to introduce a project. Because if
that's when you said that, like, because Anti ain't come out until what was that, like you said, like about 2016.
So maybe she did some shit like fourth quarter 2012.
Yeah, man, that shit is like, I mean, I know, like, I think I missed all that shit. Like, just that, like you say, you into that shit, that's your bag. But I remember just like, oh shit, like Hov did a deal with like Samsung where, if you had a Samsung phone, you got the album. Wow. And then Beyonce dropped out of nowhere. And that's all I got from it.
But you're like, so like, yeah, those are things that were like novelty, but they were also like game changers. Like obviously, uh,
Nah.
preloading an album onto a phone ain't really the way to go. Open air installations help if the album is good, but the two solid releases were the short rollout or the mixtape underground rollout for Born Center and the surprise drop
Yeah.
for Beyonce. And so if you notice, those were the two dominant methods of release from 2013
Now,
to pretty
still to
much
this
like
day.
now. Right. And so what do you think that says to people who want to invest in Jay-Z or want like, access to his business? And then how do you think that same like level of awareness like trickles down like through the atmosphere or the environment, the work culture at places like Tidal and Rock
Well, you
Nation and
saying
shit?
like, what does it say like for somebody like him as far as his influence? Because I know
Well, not just his influence, because like yeah, we look at him and go
yeah.
like, oh yeah, we should be like him, but there are people who are literally employed by him who their livelihood on a day to day basis depends on how well they adopt this way of
Yeah,
thinking.
that makes sense. Because when it boiled down to it, it's not just them thinking of that. Like somebody, it's not just the artist thinking of that. Like somebody is literally saying, "Oh, yo, what if you did this?" You know what I'm saying? Then they everybody putting their
Yeah,
minds together. Like, okay, so this is how we're gonna do. This is how this is gonna work. Like, I wonder who the fuck just was like, was it Beyonce or was it somebody just was like, "Hey, look, you know what you should do? Drop out of nowhere." Because remember when that happened? Like,
well,
who was that? Was that
Beyonce.
Quali tripping about that? Like, saying like, or people were saying like you had Quali fans, which you can't even compare like to Lil Quali and Beyonce, but it was like a thing where there were Quali fans. Man, Quali dropped the album, a surprise album too. Like it was like, nigga, so like it was like it wasn't just like
Yeah, and so like the whole reason that it was significant was that because
yeah,
they knew that Beyonce could go number one in 40 countries overnight. You know what I mean? And so like that's
right.
not something that you just like get from watching a concert.
Oh shit, and
You
that
know,
was the all video
or
album.
like research
Yeah,
dollars.
that's some fucking legendary. Damn, dog. That's some legendary shit, man. When you really sit back and look at it, like in the moment, yeah, it's like, all right, everybody like, oh, damn, can you believe that? When we really just sit back like a few years later and just be thinking like, damn, they really fucking changed the game. Like,
Yeah.
just, oh, yeah, let me drop a surprise album.
Let me drop
And
a
let me
surprise
also
album.
make it all videos. Like, just do a video album at that.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
So it's just the way that they court mobile entertainment, right? And like so like niggas be thinking that being a power couple is like looking good with your chicken shit, right?
Yeah,
But
people got the wrong
it's
thing from that.
well, no, not me, not even like so. Like, yeah, I mean that's part of it, right? Because like, not to be a hater or no shit, but these niggas was really like, let's go holler at HBO and see how many documentaries they'll give us. Let's see how many times they'll let us produce content in partnership with them, and then let's the first time we do it, that'll be cool, and then the second time we do it, let's funnel the traffic over to our streaming platform where people can only hear your album.
Right.
The only
And
place people
that
can hear after they just watched it on HBO.
And that's still a trickle down effect because you still got everybody like, yo, I got my own streaming platform. Like it just really, yo, man, it
But
be so
but that's the
subtle
shit
too.
though. But that's the shit though, because do you see how Jay-Z kind of make you think differently about institutions you normally wouldn't really fuck with?
Yeah,
Like we hate streaming. We do
yeah.
not fuck with streaming, but the fact that he pays 1 cent while everybody pays, 9 tenths of a cent make us go, well, streaming's all right.
And I always say that. Like you always hear me say that like, when everybody was like, hey, yo, title on the law. I'm like, man, all them niggas don't pay shit. Like it's
All them
like
niggas don't pay shit.
he's just the only one giving you a whole penny. Like that's really it.
But the real shit also is that Jay-Z, I think the educational value of something like Tidal for an
Mm-hmm.
artist, you know what I mean, or for a person that's really into urban entertainment, is that is really it's an in-depth experience as far as the video content and the text
Yeah.
content and like the variety of music and the way that they make it accessible to you. Like I really fuck with it for that
It's
level.
a better
Like if
experience when
yeah,
you really boil it down.
but also if that's from the consumer side, but from the artist side, it's really dope to just kind of. It's like we for some reason you can see Apple do a thing and you be like, oh, that's cool, I can do it, but it don't really click that you can do it, or you don't really start to like connect the dots on how you can do it until you see somebody like Jay-Z and Tidal do it.
And that's because Apple didn't have. I don't. I
Apple
guess
don't
I
have a
would
face.
say, yeah. I was about to say it's no like. I don't want to call them like a vanity label type situation because they're clearly not a label, but it's.
Well,
They
iTunes did have a label for a minute, and iTunes also Apple bought exclusive rights to the debut for if you're
a
reading this,
chance,
it's
right?
too late. If you're reading this, it's too late.
But then they
They
do it
did
with Chance
exclusive
too
debut.
with the coloring
Yeah, I
book.
mean, yeah, they did it with Chance, but they did it with Drake first and
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Taylor
yeah.
Swift and like these
Damn,
people
sure
who are
did.
brand ambassadors. You know what I mean? They did it with U2. They did it with Hotel Cafe back
Yeah, you're right.
back in
Actually,
2003. You know what I mean? And so they've always been experimenting with disrupting the music industry from the tech side.
I'm curious to see just what happens next. Like, what else is there? You know what I'm saying? Like on some innovative shit as far as tech is concerned when it comes to music. Like, what's next?
The bubble burst, and so tech is going to go from being like a super commercial thing to a utility thing because it's so woven into everything that we do that it won't
Mm,
be room for it to be like commercially viable. It's gonna have to be a public commodity,
right, man. We can go on and on about this shit, man. Like for real,
right?
because it's just like
Well,
it's
we
just
could because that cycle back to the shit from last summer, right? When we was talking
what's that?
about how the internet isn't really democratic anymore, or it's not a level playing field as far as like speed and access and stuff. What was the thing that they did last year?
Net neutrality or something like
The net,
that.
yeah, they ended net
Yeah,
neutrality, and so the end of net neutrality means that the internet is really a free market. It's not really a regulation on the price, and you could have basically like a freemium experience or a freemium model for like any website or for anything that you do
you
over the internet,
you know
which
what
means
is
that
gonna
you'll have to
probably
pay for a better experience.
what we're gonna see more of now is just like who can come. It's gonna be the competition of the who can do the better merch with their release. Like that's
No,
something that's happening.
I think that it got to go back to being a cultural thing, bro, because you can't like it comes a point where a thing has to become priceless for it to reestablish its value.
Mm,
And so if you can't buy it, then like how do you assign it value? You start to indoctrinate it or incorporate it into your lifestyle.
okay,
And then it
so
takes on
just
a different meaning.
pretty much what hip hop was in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like so,
Exactly, a full circle kind of thing.
it made me think about that one show, not the breaks, but the Get Down. It kind of made me think about
Mhm.
that, like seeing it from the jump, which I ain't finished season 2. I thought that shit was kind of weak, but yeah, it's almost like saying, all right, so we done did all this shit as far as the tech, so now how do we do it to where people would just appreciate the culture again? Period.
Not how do we do it? I mean, like so, like people like us, like me and you, like we would be thinking about that because that's where our opportunity to access wealth is to figure
Yeah,
out how to make it a cultural component. And so that's the type of thing that I do with Humble Fly, right? Is my whole shit is that culture can be profitable, but it doesn't have to be commercial
right.
to make a profit from it. And so I think that art is something that you're supposed to experience like at an intimate level, like not necessarily like a super arena type thing, not necessarily a million records sold or anything like that. Even though those things are cool, but the best experience that I have with creativity is always on the individual level. And so
Yeah,
I want to create more opportunities for people to like get past the noise of like social
yeah.
media
I was
and
about to say like
trying
just
to be like the
rising.
best marketer and shit like that.
Yeah, just like
Do your
literally, that's
shit.
what I was gonna. That's my thing. Like I always say that, like just try to rise above the noise. There's so much that's going on. I mean, we always talked about that as far as like just going back to a more physical based level to where like the paper, like you actually having an ad in the paper as opposed to let me run this ad on Instagram or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah,
that
I
shit is
mean,
cool, but it's just a different experience when it's more physical and you see it in person.
I think that like so I'm doing some real cool stuff with Humble Fly this year. It's called Figment.
Got it.
Like figment of your imagination, popular phrase, or like some shit like a cliche phrase almost. And so I like taking shit that we kind of take for granted every day and really dissecting it. And so this year I wanted to do this thing called Figment, where I'm just creating projects where people ask themselves, how do they differentiate between what's real and what's fake, or what's real and what they imagining, right? And so one of the things that I started to do was think about how I feel about social media, and I was like, yo, I hate all of this shit because it's fake, but the things that we go through, or the things that we process through social media, be real as hell, right? Especially from a creative level, because artists and creatives create a lot of free
Hell yeah.
content in the name of like self-promotion for these platforms. And so it kind of gets in the way of creating from a confident place, right? And the whole reason that people use social media and shit is to circumvent having their own website or having to be in control of their
Right.
own operation. So I feel like if I could show artists like how to run their own operation through a program like Figment, it can help them. And so I got a .tv website that I'm launching later this month. It's going to specialize in delivering artist content without all the
Yeah, I
bullshit
saw the
from the
clip you posted that all.
platforms
That shit
or
look
whatever.
dope. That shit is fire.
Oh yeah, man, it's gonna figmentzero.tv.
I have been seeing all. Man, you got to talk about this. Though. Once I seen the channel, the little clip you put on Instagram, I was like, yeah, you got to speak about this
Yeah,
for sure.
man.
This look dope.
Let me live out my dream. Let me live out as what I intended to be. If you doubt me, then I can probably see.